Welcome to the Resistance broadcast, everybody. I'm John. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday. It is May 13th. We are already in mid-May. That is honestly unbelievable. Welcome to the show. This is our discussion show. We're going to try something new later in our discussion segment. Don't worry, James. No new graphics needed. We're still calling this a discussion. So I think we're good there. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, just want to say hello to Lacey and James. What's going on, guys?
Nothing. What's up?
Not much. Just, doing a little Star Wars podcasting. The usual. James, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Getting ready for the solo discussion right now.
Yeah. So, and you're wearing your tribute to George Lucas flannel shirt.
Oh,
which is fantastic.
Oh yeah, tribute. Yeah, tribute to Coca-Cola.
Is that the Batu Coca-Cola shirt? Is that the one you got from Celebration?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I got mine somewhere. All right, so real quick, before we get into the discussion, I just want to say, if you enjoy our podcast, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Yes, that's right. Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Check out our tier options. Currently, we have 5 tiers that start at $2 a month. And if you join us at the $2 a month tier, you get access to all of our exclusive content that we put just on Patreon. And we do mini episodes. We have commentaries. We have our next one coming up is The Last Jedi. So if you like that movie, we're going to be doing commentary on that. We have a Discord server for our tier 3 and up. We have calls with our tier 4 and 5 folks. You can be on the show, submit topics of the show, a lot of stuff. Go check it out. Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. We really rely on your support to keep this show going strong, quality content, and of course for stuff we want to do in the future, because we have a lot of big plans and it's all with your support. So you keep the engines running and we really appreciate any and all support. But the last thing, yes, we are doing a discussion later in the show, and it's going to be on us taking the movie Solo. We all want Make Solo 2 happen, right? Most of us, hopefully. And, we want it in a movie or a Disney Plus series. So I just thought it'd be a fun idea if we took the original Solo movie and what would it have been like if it was broken up into a Disney Plus series. So we're going to try to look at the movie and dissect it and turn it into a Disney Plus series. How would Solo, a Star Wars story, have looked if it was Solo, a Star Wars series? So we're going to have fun with that later. But James, we have a segment that we call One with the Force, right?
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on with that.
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
All right, this week we're doing One with the Force. Will the Force is taking the back seat this time? So let's get started with it. You'll catch on to how this works if it's the first time doing it. You want to convince somebody how good Star Wars animation is. This is the premise. What is the one thing you show them? What's the one show or thing in Star Wars animation that you're going to show them to kick this thing off? John, you go first. What do you think?
This is very tough for me because I don't like this as a story vehicle premise, or what people have used it as for theories and that sort of thing. But I think I would show the World Between Worlds segment of Star Wars Rebels to somebody. One, because it has familiarity. You hear voices that are familiar in other live action and stuff that maybe people could warm themselves up to. But also it's visually stunning to me. The open vastness of that room and that space. Seeing Ezra as this small character kind of going on this journey and his conflict with Palpatine and that whole which way in the fork are you going to go. Just everything about that. And then our discussion with Taylor Gray about it and him just talking about how much he loved it really fortified that for me. And I think that's something that you could really show somebody and be like, I'm confident that this is so good that this is what I would pick to show somebody, like check out Star Wars animation, because this is kind of what you're getting. So I'm going to go with the World Between Worlds segment of Rebels.
All right, Lacey, you're up next. What did you pick?
I was stuck between two things, but ultimately I went to the one which I think a lot of people would probably pick, which is Ahsoka versus Darth Vader in Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was such a big scene and so emotional to a lot of people, especially what you experienced with Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, that was just building up to that matchup. So I would go that.
Interesting. So not a criticism of John writing, but I did understand the question differently. I thought it was, what would you show somebody to show how good the animation in Star Wars can be?
I mean, that's
so
fine, I guess.
well, I can answer the other question actually really easy, but my answer was going to be Resistance, because I think it's the most beautiful animation we've got, as far as like from an
It's very cool.
technical standpoint, and the just the beauty of what is on screen, how crisp and clean it is. I love the look of Resistance. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
To answer your question, I have done this. It was the Mortis episodes of the Clone Wars. I was trying to convince somebody that Clone Wars was worth watching, and I said, I think a go-to segment would be this. And we pulled it up and we watched the 3 episodes, and I was like, dude, you should watch this show, man. It's so cool. Like, now you can kind of see the stuff that you're missing out on with this. And I don't know if I convinced that person or not, but yeah, I don't know. I think that would probably be my go-to as far as like trying to explain what's happening in the animation world.
Good picks.
All right, the next one we got, you get to pick one piece of Star Wars content and one thing you would change about it if you had the ultimate unlimited power, if you will, to do so. Lacey, I'm jumping back at you first. I feel like I know your answer, but let's see, what is it?
I would pick The Rise of Skywalker, and I would save Ben Solo.
Gotta say I called it. Yeah.
I've said this numerous times.
Yeah.
I think that I needed, personally, my own expectations and wants. This is no one else's. I would have liked to have seen Ben Solo survive because he is the son of Han and Leia, and to me, it would have meant more to my own love for Han and Leia if their son continued on, and regardless of what he ended up doing, continued on with a happy life and beat those demons that he had been dealing with his whole entire life and adolescence and whatnot. I don't think he should have, gone back to the Resistance base and high-fived everyone. I think I would have liked it more if at the end Rey was at Tatooine and he showed up and he was there and she didn't know he had survived. I think that to me would have been more interesting and exciting than everybody just accepting him as like, oh, hooray, because he did do a lot of messed up stuff. So you can't really have that moment.
Like Batman and Michael Caine.
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Just that moment of like, you think he, like, it could have been she doesn't die at the end, but he still falls in the pit and she thinks he died. But then he shows up at the end and surprises her. That to me would have been cool. But I don't agree with what people think that he should have just gone back with Rey and been like, hello, Finn and Poe, like, we're all buddies now, because that wouldn't have worked out very well. Yeah.
I would have also second thought that maybe you would have said no grumpy Luke, like change that arc.
That is another arc that I have my own personal feelings and thoughts on, but I think that it works in the bigger story of where his character goes and how it relates to Rey, that change would affect the story too much. If we're talking about one thing, just quick change, I would change that.
Mine definitely is
if you're talking about a big mess up change, then sure, I would love to change the story of Luke and have Han, Luke, and Leia together, and Luke and Han never dies and everybody has a happy life. Like, that's what I'd ultimately change. But then you have no story.
All right, John, what's your pick? Where are you at on this craziness radar?
There is no war.
Yeah.
I would have I think their biggest mistake was feeling like they needed to get rid of the crawls for the other movies. I think that was really a big mistake. I think that is such a power recognizable marquee thing for Star Wars, and they didn't need to do this thing where they left it only for these episodic films. I think that was, as much as I like the pseudo crawl for Solo with the neon name going at the screen, both those movies should have had crawls, and I changed the color from yellow to blue so that we know it's not a saga film, and that's all you got to do. And they give us our crawl. Like, I want to hear John Williams' theme for every Star Wars movie at the beginning. I just think that was a massive mistake, and I think they shouldn't have done it. So I would have kept the crawl thing going for the standalone films.
All I'm hearing right now is when they're just playing like the text.
Yeah, right. And I like that. I mean, Rogue One's is more egregious in how it's just like,
yeah,
it's Rogue One now. It's like, okay, great.
You sign into the Zoom call too early. You're like,
yeah, it's like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
What is that?
No music. It's just like, and it's Rogue One. Like, nah, give me a crawl.
Lacey, I thought you were going old school insult on John with all I hear right now is wah.
No. The beginning of Soul, it's like
I know what you meant, but I thought that's where you were going.
And you're like, what is happening?
Well, I can tell you this. I definitely went big ramifications, and I was stuck between don't kill Darth Maul and let him be the villain over the 3 movies, or fix the predictability of like Emperor Palpatine was the villain in 7 and let him be the villain in 8 and 9. And let him arc over those 3 movies.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, because I like where Maul ended up, I'm going to go for the Emperor one. I wish that by the end of episode 7, we would have had a hint that it was Palpatine and somehow he was involved, and that would have speculated down the line. And then we still could have got 8 the way it was, but just like a bigger understanding of maybe like Snoke isn't part of this, I don't know. I think it could have been
true.
Yeah. I think it
I
could
have one more wacky one, actually.
Go ahead.
Because I just talked about this recently with someone. If Rey accepted Kylo's hand in Last Jedi, and then Finn was the Jedi in Rise of Skywalker to help turn her back to the light.
Yeah, I think we talked about that before.
Yo,
right?
that would be so
on the
cool.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked
John,
about
why
it.
are you making that face? You would have loved it if that's what they did.
Oh.
We love Star Wars so much, we justify the story, and we're like, "See, this is why it's cool,"
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the next one.
Wait, hold on. Which change do you want to see? Let us know in the comments.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. Of those 3.
Of those 7, 3 of the ones I gave.
Yeah. All right. The next question is, if you met Harrison Ford casually out in the world, what's the one thing you would ask him besides obviously taking a picture or sign this or something like that? So, John, I think you're first on this one. What's up?
I would ask him to get in my face, point at me, and yell at me. About having done something to his wife, or something like one of those lines from his movies. It's just like, I want Harrison Ford to point at me and yell at me. That's what I want Harrison Ford to do.
Yeah, I like that. Lacey, what is your one thing you would want Harrison, or you would ask him, I guess?
Do you remember that time you winked at me when I was 16 on the Martha Stewart show?
You'd say no.
He'd be like, no. No, my real question would be, what's been his favorite part about being Han Solo? And I know that's like such a throwaway comment, but I feel like no one asks that. Everyone's always like, so who shot first? And he's like, I don't care. But like, no one asks him about like genuinely his experience of being Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in general, like, how's it feel to be at least 2 iconic characters, at least multiple, but Indiana Jones and Han Solo.
I used to do a thing. I haven't really done it in years, but I used to go around and ask the question. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say a name of a celebrity, and you tell me the first character or movie or whatever that pops in your mind. And I would say Harrison Ford. And like 40% of the time it was Indiana Jones. 40% of the time it was Han Solo. But then the third most highest answer was the president from Air Force One. Of all his movies, it was one of those 3 100% of the time. But the president
Was
was
that a
always
real
the third.
poll? What you're saying?
I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. I did that for years. Just for fun.
Oh, wow.
Go up to people and ask them because you could get. It was like a break the ice question. Like you could get them to
My
be
favorite
like,
is Tim
Indy
Curry.
for me, man. It's Indy.
What do you know Tim
100%.
Curry from?
I feel like if Lacey asked him that question, he would say like the money or like something, because like whenever someone asks him like, hey, like Jonas asked him like, when you're in the cockpit, like which buttons do you hit? And he's like, it doesn't matter. This is all fake. It's just like so like
I should just ask him, hey, you want to go to the dinner with me?
he'd be like, yeah, you want to go? You want to go get drunk, Harrison? He's like, hell
You
yeah.
want to go get dinner?
How
I'd be
about
like, "Sure."
ask him to be on the podcast? No.
He'd be like, what's a podcast?
Yeah, my question was going to be I wanted to be like totally off the record because it's been kicked around in a lot of different ways. What's the real story with you wanting to like kill Han Solo and then like coming back, and was that part of the contract that you die in 7? I just really want to know, like, what were you anxiously excited to come back as Solo, or were you doing it because you were able to make a lot of money and get the character arc that you wanted in the past?
Which is to
So
die.
says these stories and stuff. I just like to hear his version of it, to see if he actually was like excited to come back, or maybe he changed his mind very quickly after Return of the Jedi or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I know Kazan was the biggest pusher to kill Han Solo, and Lucas was like, no.
Because it
Which
needed to
maybe-
mean something. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Which maybe if Lucas was around, Lacey would have gotten like her result more, because he was
You know
more
what? I would have gotten my
aggressive
happy
that
ending because George Lucas appreciates my opinions of happy endings and joy and celebration, and everyone wins.
Though he did kill Vader and Anakin, so who knows?
Yeah, but he was the bad guy, though.
Yeah.
I would bet money that
Me
if
and John
George
are like,
Lucas did the
"Was he
sequel
not
trilogy, that Kylo Ren, Ben Solo wouldn't have died.
And everybody would be drinking midichlorian milkshakes, just like getting down with the Force.
I love it. I'd take it. Make
We
me
got one more
happy.
question though. The last one that we're going to do for One with the Force this week is assuming you work for the Empire and your allegiance is being tested. Tarkin orders you to destroy one planet in the Star Wars galaxy. What planet are you choosing to destroy? Lacey, you go first.
Kef beer, because there's nothing on there except Orbox.
Poor Orbox.
It's better than people.
Yeah.
That'd be my
John,
pick.
what would be your planet that you would destroy?
Hoth, because I hate winter. Sorry, Tauntauns.
Wampus.
Yeah.
What'd the Wampa do to you?
So-
Exist.
So
Hurt my Luke.
this is assuming it's possible, but my planet is Exegol.
And they can't make the sequel trilogy.
That's
Just-
why?
No, I'm just like, I don't know.
Palpatine
You
can't
pick a planet.
return now.
Yeah.
What?
I thought about going chaotic evil and saying Iriadu, which is Tarkin's home planet.
Yeah.
Boom, blow up his family and legacy and everything.
You're like, I woke up and chose chaos, Tarkin.
Yes.
Tarkin's like, no.
Yeah. Don't push that button. Well, that one went quick. We all three gave quick
Yeah.
answers, and we
Is that bad that we had immediate answers for that? Like, oh, this can go.
I think the general consensus was we were all like, well, we don't want to blow up anything with people on it, and I went
Yeah.
with bad guys, and only
Palpatine's
bad guys.
tubes.
Yeah.
Snoke test
Right.
tube babies are going.
Right.
All right. Well, that's it for One with the Force this week. Thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit, and then we're getting ready to head into the next section. John, what do you got?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right. So, yeah, we're testing the waters here to see if we can pull this off and have it make sense. Haven't done it yet. We haven't really brainstormed this, so what you're getting is the real deal. Converting Solo, the movie, into a Disney Plus series. So what if Solo was released as a Disney Plus series initially? So we thought it'd be fun to, right here on the show, go through Solo as a movie and break it up into 5 pieces, which would have been episodes on a limited Disney Plus series. We will then, maybe title each episode and come up with what Solo would have been as a Disney Plus series. So I just thought this would be kind of a fun idea, something we haven't done yet, something I haven't seen people do, and away we go. So, so I kind of came up with notes on my idea of this. I was thinking about bringing up Disney Plus and kind of like finding other spots and sort of thing like that. But do you guys want me to like pitch you what my first episode is and like what section of the movie, and kind of we'll spitball and then go from there?
I say let's go episode through episode.
Based on my outline?
Yeah, I already know that my episode would be different than your episode.
Yeah, I was kind of picking different episodes too.
Okay, perfect.
Splots.
All right. So I had the first episode being called A Great Pilot, as a play on, it's the pilot episode of a show too, but also that Han says I'm a great pilot. Going from the beginning of the movie to the moment when Han and Chewie are on the bridge and Han says, Chewbacca, you're going to need another name because I'm not calling you that every time. And it's just kind of like the friendship is formed. It's before the big heist scene. It's 26 minutes in. So that'd be like, I saw that as like a good first episode of the series. So you get everything from the beginning to that point. So that's all the Mimban stuff, the Han and Kira on Corellia, her getting kidnapped, him getting the last name Solo, him meeting Chewie, him catching up with them, and all that leading up to them before like their cookout and hangout. So I don't know what do you guys have for like what would be the first episode of this series?
Let's see what do you got.
I would go from the beginning to the I'd probably end on the shower scene, actually. Like, we couldn't do this alone, and then end it there. I think that would be a funny ending.
Oh,
where
yeah.
People are like, what? Because I like the idea of him and Chewie talking to each other at the beginning of the next episode. The only other edit I would make is maybe save the shower scene for the beginning of the next episode and end on them celebrating and getting on the ship. Like, they've accomplished what they wanted to do. They're on the ship. They made it. They're getting off Mimban, and then it ends.
Yeah, that's a good ending too. Yeah, I agree.
I'm going by in my head, not necessarily about how The Mandalorian ends, but by how basically Marvel shows end. Because I feel like The Mandalorian's a little different. Because there are episodes where it ends on very slow points. Whereas I feel like Marvel episodes always end on a point where you're like, wait, what's going to happen next? And I feel like that's where I would end the episode. So when they get on the ship, that's where I would end it.
See, it's interesting that you guys both ended around Chewie because my first episode would be entirely on Corellia.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it would be him in, in the slums and coming up with the plan to get off and I mean, I assume that since this is much longer, we're going to get into all the details and stuff. But I would show him a lot more in that world. Actually, stealing the car and not just lighting it up or whatever, maybe making the deal and all this other stuff and how it went wrong, all that, and go all the way up to where he gets separated from Kira and considers joining the Empire. Then the second episode goes into his history with the Empire.
That would be a 14-minute debut episode.
But that's not how I saw it. I said I'm thinking of it as here's our story that we want to tell, and then it's not made yet. And then you're saying...
So you would stretch it out?
Yeah, I'm saying you're getting 6 1-hour episodes, and this is the story.
I approach it as, let's chop this thing up and make it a... Yeah. So I see what you're saying. I may have different choices if I did approach it that way.
Yeah, and I think that's good that we have the different understanding. I assume Lacey's doing it very similar to what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm chopping it up.
Chopping it up? Okay, yeah, no. I'm going story based. Like I would be like the first episode would be about this portion of Han's life, and then the next one.
James is adding content, which you
yeah.
gotta like. Okay. All right. So
just to catch
how are
up
we
with
gonna
you
do this?
guys, my second episode is joining the Empire and meeting Beckett and being accepted for the Convex job.
With
Oh,
Chewbacca?
Yeah. All the stuff
Okay.
with Chewie and they're getting ready to do the job, which then the third episode is Convex.
How many?
but-
So how many episodes do you have?
6.
so to speak, James. 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. All right. So me from the perspective of just chopping, I'm going from 26 minutes, and if you're listening and you want to follow along, I'm using the Disney Plus version. So 26 minutes. That's right after Han and Chewie have their chat. Although I do like Lacey's thing too, we're kind of in the same ballpark. But so for argument's sake, right after Han and Chewie have their chat, and you see them overlooking the Convex with Beckett, and which leads to their cookout scene, the whole Convex thing, and it goes all the way through them being on the first light, meeting back up with Kira, and then right before they're about to go get Lando, it's like Han saying like, I think this is going to be great. And she's like, I know a guy, and we got to find him. And that'd be a good like cliffhanger, like right before you meet Lando. It's like, oh, I wonder who it's going to be, that sort of thing. So and that's a 26-minute episode again. So I'm trying to keep the time lengths consistent. But so I'm
Nice.
curious where Lacey what made her next cut, because you were just before my first cut. So
Mhm.
where would you have gone with your second episode?
So my second episode would open up with them in the shower scene, going through the whole scouting of the Convex location, the Convex situation where they're on the train, and then Val dies, and then the explosion, and then ending it at the explosion,
Okay.
which is at 39:04-ish.
Okay. So that'd be a short episode.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I wanted it to end with the drama of the explosion just happened. The other thing that
Mhm.
might work also is the conversation right after this, before they go to Dryden Voss, ending it there. So that you get the last 2 minutes of what's next, and then ending it at that point.
Oh, where
but
he
not
punches him
going
in
to
the
Dryden.
face.
Like the
But not
the
going to
snowball
Dryden
fight.
Voss's yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're ending it. Yeah. So right before going to first light.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we wouldn't go to First Light until the third episode.
Okay. All right, James. What do you got? So you on your second episode, we are on like the Mimbin situation.
Yeah, and I went through the whole. Well, it's more about him being in the Empire and him getting to the end, meeting up with the crew and like being okayed for the job, for the Convex, and it just leads up to like them scouting. You know what I mean? And they talk about Enfys Nest or whatever. But then that next episode is the Convex, the death of Val. And then going and meeting back up with Dryden Voss and the Kira thing, which just offsets the second half of the series, or the season, I should say. With we've already got the pilot, and like if you fail me again, I'll be out of chances. That is where my episode 3, halfway through the series point is. Now the job is on.
That's where your episode 3 ends.
Yes, yeah.
So wait, because your first episode was the whole Corellia thing, and then you said, where does your second end and your third begin? Because I don't know if I just missed you saying that.
That's meeting Beckett and being hired for the job is the second episode, and the third episode is doing the job, the Convex situation.
Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, that's interesting because your third episode ends where my second ends, like that same spot right there. Like he's saying, like we're all out of chances, and they're in the elevator and they're about to go meet Lando.
Yeah, but you have 5 episodes and I have 6, so we're kind of on the same pace.
You're making the smarter business decision, going for more viewership. I get it. All right, so Lacey, you well, I'm not sure how to do this then. All right, so my third episode.
We're on
then,
third episodes now. Yep.
Yeah. Well, which will be James's fourth. But my third episode starts at 52:11. Really picks up right there where you're going to the lodge to go meet Lando. The whole entire Sabacc situation. This is going to be about a 32-minute episode. So you're going the whole Sabacc confrontation and game. They're going to go to Kessel and do all the events that happen on Kessel. And right before when they get on so I'm taking you to 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 30 seconds for the audience who wants to check. And that's really right after L3 dies. Lando kind of accepts it, walks back into the cockpit, and Han's flying the ship, and they're flying off right before the Kessel Run, and he says, "I'm really sorry." And it's like when they're about to plug her in, and then my fourth episode is going to be the Kessel Run stuff. So,
Nice.
So I'm going 52:11 to 124:30 as my third episode. I called it Getting Spicy, but that's a working title, so I'm not sure. But all right, Lacey, where are you now? Because you were at First Light, so where are you going with your third episode?
So my second episode ended with the line where Beckett, Han, and Chewie are talking about if they want to go see Dryden Voss, and then Chewie says something, and Beckett asks him what he says, and Han says, "That means yes." That's where the second episode would end.
Okay.
So my next episode would pick up at about 41:39 and would go all the way through First Light and the Fort Yipso Lodge, all the way to 104:39, where they head into hyperspace, and Han looks so happy and excited to be in space. And that's where the episode would end.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Now I got to go there and look at his face because I need.
He
to
looks,
see it.
and it's like the perfect shot too, where the camera kind of comes around him like this to reveal his face, and you see the hyperspace in his eyes. Like that's where I would end the episode.
James, remind me to ask you about this for Make Solo 2 Happen purposes. Just remind me to ask you about that. Okay. I like that. That's a good, nice little ending there. So then your next one would be picking up with the chess stuff.
Yes.
Like to kick off the. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. All right, James, where are we picking up with you now on your fourth episode?
Yes. So my third episode was wrapping up them walking out of Dryden Voss. Y'all be out of options, right? So this fourth episode is getting together the Kessel crew, if you will. So the way I understand it is it would be it would end with the recruitment of Lando and them getting ready to head towards the I can't think of the name of the place or whatever. The not Kessel, but the shoot, what's it called? The stuff that they have to fly through. Anyway, that's unimportant.
The Maelstrom?
The Maelstrom, yeah. It would end with that, but the whole episode would be them trying to get together a crew, and this is where I feel like I have an hour to play with. Maybe Lando wasn't the first person they went to, so they kind of mess around with a couple other people. They go wrong, and she says, well, I know one other person that we could go to, and that's where but it's going to be hard, and he's got to go through the game, and they land him, and then the crew is assembled, and that's where he sees the Falcon and stuff. And, they're off to go get the Maelstrom.
Oh, okay. So your fourth episode ends with
is the recruitment of the crew. Now they're
like Lando saying, I accept it. Like they're about to, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
And they go off
like
there.
That. Yeah, that's cool. All right. So you have a lot of meat left for your last two episodes. So that's going to be interesting to hear how you kind of go through that. All right. My fourth episode starts around 124:30. And it's when they're about to plug like L3 in and they're about to go on this big Kessel Run. And it's the entirety of the Kessel Run. The episode is going to be only 21 minutes long. But it ends on Savareen after the confrontation with Enfys Nest, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I really liked this ending for this episode because it's 1:45:20 on Disney Plus, and that's right when Beckett is leaving, and he heard about a job, and he's going to go learn to play that Valacord, and you're going to be left at the end of that episode thinking like, all right, wow, so he's gone, so what's going to happen next kind of thing. And little do we know that he's going to come back around and be that person who kind of double crosses Han. And it just like the way they ended it, it felt like it was an ending of sorts because it fades out and they pull away from Han and he's just kind of like reflecting on as Beckett's walking away and the music hits. I'm like, that'd be a perfect like episode ending. So that is the end of my 4th episode. So you got the whole impact of the Kessel Run, then the initial Savareen stuff, and Beckett leaving, and you think that he's going about his business for Jabba the Hutt. So, all right, Lacey, where is your 4th episode taking us?
My 4th episode picks up after they jump to hyperspace and they go through the whole bit on about the Dejarik board, then the closet, then they land on Kessel. They go through all the Kessel madness. Then they're back in space. So it starts at about 1:04:43 and then it ends at 1:24:22. So it's about a 20-minute episode. And it ends where they see the Imperial ship and they're like, oh, they'll never chase us. And then those ships come out of the ship and then it ends. Also, at this pace, I'm going to have 6 episodes. So
I was going to say, yeah. Ends before. So yeah, you're ending your 4th one just before, well, at the very beginning of like the Kessel Run.
Yeah, right when they realize that they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, James, where are we picking up with you?
So yeah, they just got Lando. So my understanding is that I can actually even kind of jump a little bit. The 4th episode would just be the entirety of going to Kessel, doing what they needed to do there, and getting off, going through the maelstrom, all that stuff, and then dropping in the stuff and then out the end or whatever. And so that 5th episode would just be the entirety of the Kessel Run.
Okay. And that's interesting. Okay. I like that. You're going to have a big 6th episode.
Am I?
Well, we'll see. All right. Alrighty. Where am I? All right. So my last episode, you have them all going back to First Light to make the deal with Beckett, and everything that happens there. The double cross with Han, Kira killing Dryden Voss, her telling Han, "I'm right behind you." Everything with Maul, all the way through the end where Han sees Kira leave, so everyone has burned him at this point, and he goes to get his Falcon back. And I called this episode "She Belongs with Me" because that's his line to Lando. Oh, and my last episode was called "Heard About a Job," but the last one's called "She Belongs with Me," and it's him winning the Falcon and then flying off to pick up season 2, which is Make Solo 2 Happen, where they're going to go to Jabba the Hutt's place. So that's my series. So 5 episodes. All right, Lacey, you said you have 6. So where?
No, I'm gonna keep it with 5.
Oh, okay, Lacey's doing a director's cut.
Keeping it with 5
episodes.
So I'm going to do from about 1:26:01 where they go into the Maelstrom and going through the Kessel Run, and then through the end of the movie. So that's whatever the end is. 2:05:08. So it's about a 40-minute last episode. Because otherwise it's like 20 minutes and 20 minutes. I'd rather the last episode be a good solid 40 minutes.
Nice.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, my last episode was only like 21 minutes. But whatever. All right, James, take us home with your version.
Yeah, so then mine would be from them escaping Kessel and arriving on Savareen to the end of the movie, right? And the way I saw this too, because you were saying you'd have a big chunk there at the end, but like I was looking in the player, and where that would be is like at 1 hour and 35 minutes. to the movie ends at 2 hours and 5 minutes. So it's really only
Yeah.
30 minutes, but I'm saying extend that out to an hour, because every one of these episodes is an hour in my head. I think that really builds in the final chapter. You've gone through all the adventures, and now you're wrapping it up. And that would be the last location, if you will.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? And, it's funny, like, we each had our own kind of, like, way of approaching this, but also breaking it up. And some of us were, like, very similar in some, and then our back halves were way different. But for, like, all of them, it's like, that could totally work. And, you could see, like, the end credits come up at that port, even though it's in a movie.
Yeah,
and
if I was going to split it, my last episode, I would have split it when they are on Savareen and Infus Nest shows up and it's the big reveal that she's standing there with all her people. I would have ended it there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
One thing,
she's like just about to take the helmet off, and you see someone's reaction to her taking the helmet off, but you don't see her, and you're like,
not even that, just her being there. I would end it right there.
Yeah.
There's only looking through mine. There's only one little like hang up, and you could kind of play with it. Considering I said like it's an hour long, you get a little play here. My first episode is him on Corellia. My second episode is him on Minbin. My third episode is him on what's the ice planet? I forget the name. Vander. Yeah. And then technically my fourth is him with recruiting Lando and stuff, but you could play around with him going to other planets and other things trying to get the crew together, and that's where he lands. But then my fifth one is on Kessel and my sixth one's on Savareen. So pretty much all of my story beats were different planets.
Yeah.
Different eras of the story as it moved along.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was fun. So, Lacey, give me a quick rundown of yours, if you have them.
My rundown is from the beginning to the part where he gets on the ship with Beckett.
Shower scene.
Not the shower scene yet. I would start the next episode with the shower scene.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're starting that? Okay.
And then the next episode go from the shower scene to the part where he says, Chewie says yes, and then I'd cut it there. Mm-hmm. Then I would cut from the next scene where they're walking to Dryden Voss's to the moment where he's in hyperspace, when he looks really excited to be in hyperspace.
Yeah, I like that.
Then from the scenes on the Falcon to the scene where the Imperial ship arrives, and then from the moment where they make the Kessel run to the end.
5, right.
I picked a lot of moments that you're like, wait, what? What's going to happen? That's how I divided up my moments.
For a second, I got confused, and I was like, one of these episodes is only 5 minutes long. And then I was like, oh, no, okay. I was like, that's very not good.
Well, if I split the end part, which I was considering doing with the Infus Nest thing, one of them would have been 15 minutes. I was like, that's such a gypped episode. I'd rather just give people the 40.
Yeah,
you do that, and then you get the social media reaction like, are you kidding me?
15 minutes? Who cut this? And
what is this, Mandalorian season 2? Or season 1, episode 2?
All right. Yeah, I felt like my first episode, I'm like, that once they establish Han and Chewie are friends, I'm like, that's now locked in. So that people be like, oh, so that's how they met. Got it. And now we can go forward from this point on as it's Han and Chewie. And the Convex thing, it's just like its own little mini movie, isn't it? It's like just such a... I absolutely love that whole scene.
It reminds me a lot of Jabba's palace scene, which is like its own thing.
Yeah.
That's my episode 3.
I had to cut it there when Han goes... I think this is going to be great, and like you said, Lacey, like you could see like that ending in some of these spots in this movie. Mm-hmm. Where I really had a tough time was getting like the chunk of Kessel, because that's not one of my favorite spots of the movie, but the fact that it's just it's so big and meaty, like I don't know that I want it to be its own episode, but I liked all of our like choices, and it just goes to show like, if they went into a new solo project with the focus of doing a series, it could work so well with Han and Chewie going on these adventures, and that sort of thing. It's just
because I don't think you could do that with other Star Wars movies divided up like that. No.
I don't either. And
it would be fun for us to try though. If you guys like this, if you had fun kind of following along,
like
maybe we'll do
it would be
other
harder
movies.
probably. For us to do the other movies, but I'm up for the challenge. I think that we could try to do that with other movies too. Or like, remember when Clayton said, didn't he say if he broke up? I believe remember he was on the show with us. He broke up the Mandalorian, but combined episodes into movies, and he created a trilogy out of season 1 or something like that. I'll have to call that back up. But he did the reverse. Like we took things and made it into a series. He took the series and made it into movies. But a Han and Chewie series, just them doing jobs for job and getting into trouble, getting mixed up with these crime syndicates, just like
Avoiding the Empire, yeah.
Imagine it being a Sunday and you're like, oh man, the weekend's ending, and just like knowing it, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock that night, they're debuting a brand new episode of The Adventures of Han Solo on Disney Plus. Like, it is the warmest blanket you could ever think of, and it's just
there's a reason they wrote so many Han Solo books. There's a reason that there's series of Han Solo books of him doing all these things.
So yeah, that was. What do you guys think? That was an interesting little. I mean, that could have been a disaster.
Mine is the correct way to cut up the movie, so I think I did great.
Good, very good, modest. I like that.
I see a lot of people tweeting the GIF of in The Hangover with all the numbers. Like people are like, well, "Where am I at in the movie?" Like every couple of seconds, like hard to remember.
Yeah, I like the idea of them sending us their thoughts on what they would do. So if
How
you
they
would
break
cut
up
up
the movie,
Solo, how would you carve it up? Do you like James's idea of just saying like, forget the existing, let's just add stuff. Let's just make our own, stretch this thing out, director cut style. But let us know. Let us know what you thought of this segment, and would you like to see us do it again, like James said, or your just general thoughts about this type of method, and what would you do to Solo? How would you carve this thing up? And more importantly, May 24th, Make Solo 2 Happen Day. Just use the hashtag, so hopefully one day we can see them make a Disney Plus series of Han and Chewie and actually see what they would do. The real people who get paid to do that stuff. So that's that for that discussion. That brings us to our next segment. So I'm going to hand the DL44 to Lacey to carry us on.
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So as you guys know, John puts up every week on Twitter at RBATSWNN a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers. So this past week, the scenario was Obi-Wan Kenobi's home is being sold. Now that the former Jedi is dead and no longer needs it, write a real estate listing for Obi-Wan's home.
Interesting.
What did we do this before for Palpatine's Exegol?
Yeah, which James just opted to destroy.
Remember I turned it into a Halloween Express.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Spirits shop.
Or Spirit Halloween, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First up is Riley Lennon Ness at NessArt94. And he said, 1-room studio with ample living space and lots of storage for old relics. Beachfront living minus the water. You'll never find a more inviting home of warmth and comfort.
There you go.
Well done.
Nice.
Next is Mello at A Grade Jedi. What up, Mello? Mello said, a perfect place to lay low, strategically placed in one of the highest grounds in Tatooine. This location will give you the privacy to think about your life and connect with loved ones. Disregard the BBQ smell from the neighbors.
Oh,
Mello.
Man.
Right, went right for it. Whew. Next is Mark at Kind of Vacants at _kind_awakens. Mark said, if you're looking for a place to raise your kids with no force ghost under the bed guarantee, then look no further. This totally not haunted home has an open concept because there's no windows and a working moisture evaporator for those sunny days, which is every single day. Well done.
That's funny.
Next is Jordan Rennie at Jordan Rennie, and Jordan said, who's more foolish, the fool who tries to buy this property or the fool who doesn't? You must do what you feel is right, of course. Well done.
Well done.
Next is Jamie G at Roxy Peanut, and Jamie said, perfect home for those who don't want to be found, blend in with the local landscape in this monochromatic abode, while simultaneously avoiding people who hate sand and actual sand people. The realtor waves a hand in front of your face. This is exactly the home you're looking for.
Makes sense.
Nice.
At Blogga the Hut is next. What up, Blogga? Blogga said, a lovely beachside 6-bed manor house with underground parking and a rooftop pool from a certain point of view.
Nice.
And next is Kylo 10 at Fulcrumandar. And they said, for sale, abandoned desert dwelling, walking distance from another slightly larger abandoned desert dwelling. And last but not least is More 5150 at More 5150, who said, looking for an elegant home for a more civilized age? Well, this isn't it.
Ba-dum-bum.
Guys,
Did
thank
they-
you so much. What?
I was gonna say, did they blow up his house? What's the story there? Does that sound familiar to anybody? No.
Blowing up Obi-Wan's house? I don't
I
think so.
thought they did that in like
Mm-mm.
something like a comic or what was that? What am I thinking of? I'll have to double
I'm not
check
sure.
it.
But guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show. If you want to be in the Resistance Transmissions, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN and look for the situation and then give your answers. Back to you, John.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for those. I love it. Keep those coming. When we post those, the more involvement, the better. And keep being creative because those are such a good time. Thanks for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. Make sure you do subscribe to the show on your preferred audio platform. I'm a big Spotify fan myself, but we're on SoundCloud and a bunch of others, Apple, Amazon Music, all those. And of course, YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet video. Subscribe. You're not just getting our show on there. We have some stuff that's just on there, including James's show, the Bad Batch Reaction Show, which he's doing every Friday morning. I do, before we move on, we have to do a special shout out. I don't know why I'm Sean Connery all of a sudden, to our Patreon generals, and that is Carmelo, who we just heard from, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Kendall Gellner, Paul Olson, Jake Houchins, Jeff Connery, Oliver Lewis, Dave Hornack, Frank Grande, Ryan Wara, Hass Islam, Joe Ritchie, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you, generals, so much for all of your support. Really, you're the best. Make sure you go to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com. And if you like other movies, nostalgia-wise, my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies, available on all podcast platforms. Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin. Still
James.
hoping for Rey's lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It
Um,
will happen.
You can find me looking up what I was talking about blowing up the house. It was Afra used a molecular purge bomb on the house, but it wasn't as destructive as I thought. It was just to conceal the fact that she and Vader had visited the hut. So I guess I read it as
Which
she
is
set
a
off a
dead
bomb.
giveaway. If you wanted to like sneak around, you wouldn't do anything. If you wanted to give it away, you'd be like, "I was here. Let's blow it up."
I remembered it
Yeah.
being in my head that they were like, "Oh, they didn't want anybody to know they were there. They blew it up. Crazy." But I guess it was just a molecular bomb. But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks.
All right. Very good. All right. We hope everyone enjoys your weekend, and we'll be back on Monday morning, which will be
1 week.
yes, 1 week until Make Solo 2 Happen Day. I'm not good with this calendar stuff, but enjoy your weekends,
Math.
and we'll see you on Monday morning with another episode. See you around, kids.